Good morning, good morning, good morning. Great Sunday morning, May 2nd, you guys. Could you believe how fast this year is moving by? As you can see, time waits for no one. Well, if you woke up on this Sunday morning, you guys, guess what? You have another chance to get it right. Regardless of what happened yesterday, whatever it is that you didn't do, whatever it is that you didn't accomplish, guess what? You have another chance to get it right. Well, today, what I want to talk to you guys about is a little bit more of what I talked to you about last week. So last week I talked about the 3 P's, right? If you guys remember, if you guys watched the video, it was pain, purpose, and positioning. So today I want to talk to you about the reason why I actually talked about that. And this question, you guys, this question is not just going to be for this week. This question is actually going to be for this month of May. I want you to really ponder about this and kind of go through different things in your life to really get a solid answer. Because when you find an answer to this, ladies and gentlemen, it will liberate you. It will free you. So the question is, just pause for a moment. The question is, have you figured out your dash? Ooh, I'm going to say it again. Have you figured out your dash? And some of you guys may say, oh, Thomas, what are you talking about? Like, what's that? And some of you guys heard it before. Some of you guys may not. If you ever go to a graveyard, on a tombstone, it's the day you was born, then there's a dash, and there's a day you died. Ooh. So at the end of the day, have you figured out your dash? Why were you born now? Why wasn't you born in the 1500s? Why wasn't you born in the 1600s? Why wasn't you or I born in slavery? Because you know what? If some of us was born in slavery, we wouldn't have made it. You already know. We wouldn't have made it. You know, we'd have been like Kunta Kinte and Roots. You know, Toby, now Kunta, they'd have cut both my feet off, man. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have made it. So just think about that for a moment, you guys. Your dash equals your why. Like why? Like do you ever stop and think about that? Right? Have you figured that out? Have you figured out your dash? So last week I talked about the pain. So what happens, you guys, is sometimes when we experience pain and trauma throughout our life, when we're 5, 7, 15 years old, something traumatic could have happened. And now you're 50 years old, you guys. But you're still in your mind living like you was 10 or 15 or whatever that situation, whenever it happened, you actually still there. But you're 50 years old now. Be married, have a family, good job, responsibility. But you can't shake that pain or that trauma that happened to you, you guys. So now you're existing, but the question is, have you figured out why? All right. So again, I use myself as an example. Grew up without a father, New York. Okay, cool. It was kind of almost like a so what. And when I was growing up, you guys, growing up without a father, it really didn't impact me while I was growing up. So fast forward, married, family. And now I realize that the name that I have, my last name, is not really my actual last name. It's not really tied to my father. Okay, cool. A lot of us are dealing with that. But I raised my hand because God challenged me to change that. So I raised my hand to change that, you guys. Not realizing and knowing all of the trauma and pain that came with it. Okay, cool. Raised my hand. I actually changed my name. But in order to do that, I had to physically write out the actual, the petition to the court to change my name. Doesn't sound like a big deal. But what happened, you guys, was when I actually had to write the petition, I had to go through the experience of how I got here. And I had no idea that I was so full with so much pain and so much trauma that when I was writing it, I was crying and I was just leaking because I didn't realize how deep I was hurt, how deep I was impacted. But that's after I looked back, though. Like, I had to turn around and look back because I had to write it to realize, like, wow, this situation of growing up without a father, it really impacted me. That's when I started my quest, because the Holy Spirit challenged me. I started my quest to have a conversation and converse with other people who experience the same pain. And guess what I found out? Nobody was talking about it. Everybody was hurting, but nobody was articulating that hurt, that pain. I said, well, wait a minute. Like, can we talk about this? Because obviously, from a society standpoint, from a foundational standpoint, it's impacting us. Why? Because when you turn on your news, you see them like this. They in handcuffs like this, and they got their head down. Well, if you stop and ask these young men and even young women, hey, like how'd you get there? I promise you, it'll go all the way back to their father who made a decision not to be in their life, and they didn't have a way to articulate that. So what happens? It came out in a vice: alcohol, sex, drugs, crime, murder, things of that nature, because they were crying out. They were crying out for somebody to say, ooh, look at me, because the individual who was responsible for them made a different decision, you guys. So what happened with myself is I started to converse and talk to different people about it, and I found my voice. I was like, ooh, this is a sweet spot for me. Why? Because I can relate to the pain. So as I started to have dialogue, I created a nonprofit called Growing Up Without a Father. Why? To help those just to sit behind a computer and articulate their pain. Now, remember, you guys, the question is, have you figured out your dash? But I'm just walking you through mine. And then from that, I started to put myself out there more. I started to do men's conferences, conference calls, different speaking engagements, Father's Day events. And when I first started, I couldn't get through to my whole, situation without crying, because the pain was so deep. I had buried it so far back, you guys, that I forgot that it was there until it was touched. Like, it's like a cut that you have that you see a scab on it, but as soon as somebody touches you, like, ooh, and you don't realize that it's not actually healed. And I didn't realize that I wasn't actually healed, you guys. So fast forward, actually got a personal coach, a life coach, Mr. Sean Raish, to just kind of help me kind of get a little bit more polished and really understand and figure out my dash. And through that and from that, I realized I have a gift to inspire people, you guys, to help people move from where they are to where God has ordained for them to be. That's another place. Well, I don't take the credit. It's a skill. It's a talent. Rather, it's a talent that I have. But my point is, I discovered it out of my pain. If I would have never stopped to put myself in a position to help other people through my pain, I wouldn't be here this morning speaking to you, right? Talking about possibly your pain, right? And how do you move past it and not allow it to keep us hostage, to hold us hostage? Last time I checked, you guys, in this COVID era, I think there was over 500,000 people, you guys, that's no longer here with us, right? When they made their tombstone, they put a dash there. And if I had an opportunity to ask them, when the journey is over, when you look back at all the things that you experienced in your life, have you had an opportunity to figure out, now that it's over, have you had an opportunity to figure out why it started? Ooh, that dash, why? And just think about it, you guys. How many people would say no? And how many people would say, you know what, Thomas, if I had an opportunity to do it all over again, I would do it different. Because now I understand the significance of that dash. Ooh. But what happens, you guys, is as long as we have breath in our body, God woke you up this morning. As long as you have breath in your body, the first thing we focus on is the pain, not the purpose and not the positioning, you guys. And that's what my challenge is. As you can see, I'm passionate about this, you guys. I could talk all day about it. But when you get to your purpose, when you get to the understanding, the true essence of why we're here, and it's not to pay bills, and it's not to make, those around us happy, you guys. I'm telling you, God has placed a universal word inside of you to help people that's attached to you. If you could only pause for a moment, if you could only stop to realize and understand what that is for you, not what it is for somebody else, not all these people on Instagram, on Facebook, doing all these different things. What does it look like for you? It could be a product that God has put inside your soul to actually do, right? It could be a service that he's challenging you to do that you probably already do, but haven't figured out a way. How do I monetize this thing that I love to do? I love to help, right? When you start to get to that level, you guys, now you start to understand your dash, right? And I know it may be a little bit of fear there because all of us, particularly, we have it. I did a thing on fear, right? But feel the fear and do it anyway. Again, I use me as an example. I started these Facebook Lives all the way back in February, right? Fearful, but I was challenged by my coach, right? But now we in the 2nd of May, right? I started probably the 2nd of February, and I'm just different now, right? Like my confidence is different. Now I'm really starting to understand why I'm actually doing Facebook Lives, right? Number one is to help those that are out there who want to move to another level, right? Now I'm creating another platform. Why? To move the content. Because you guys, we don't own Facebook. So because we don't own Facebook, we don't own the content on Facebook, right? So I'm actually creating another platform to move my content, right, to another platform. So now we can engage, right? We can start to really move the ball to help those who have an ear to hear what I have to say to actually find their dash, find their purpose, right? Find their passion, right? Understand their pain. And then ultimately, you guys, position themselves in the marketplace to help them and their family and those that are tied to them. Well, you guys, as you can see, I'm passionate about this. I'm passionate about helping. I'm passionate about inspiring. I'm passionate about giving, you guys. I could talk all day. But again, my name is Thomas Taylor III. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Thomas Taylor III, Taylor Your Dreams. Or you can email me at tyd@tayloryourdreams.com. Follow me on Facebook, Thomas Taylor III, you guys. Again, the challenge for May is, have you figured out your dash? Until we meet again, make it a great day.